after comeback.
She knocked us out. She really delivered.
If people like me, fine. If they don't, well, you can just kiss my ass.
Cher has endured, strutting her way through life on a small screen. After all, she's Cher, and these are her amazing TV moments. Next on VH1 TV Moments, Cher.
She just, excuse me, has big balls.
I Got You, Babe brought fame and fortune to Sonny and Cher, the couple, the duo, the brand name. But it wasn't until June 12, 1965, that TV viewers first got hip to Cher as a solo artist on American Bandstand, singing All I Really Want to Do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sonny and Cher.
She's almost looking like the original Punk, but really lovable. She has, you know, dark eye makeup. She's very real looking. She's very raw. It's unsculpted Cher at this point.
Before the performance, Cher had major stage fright.
It's hard to think of Cher as ever having any nerves, but she really was a mess. She was really jittery for this performance, and she insisted on Sonny coming out and joining her on stage.
I just said, I'm not going to do this by myself. There's just no way. And he went, okay. And I kind of like relaxed, and he pushed me out on the stage.
She didn't want to make a fool out of herself, but she knew she could do it. And eventually she gets out there and she does it.
No one believed that I was doing it by myself. Everyone thought that Sonny was doing the low part and I was doing the high part.
While Sonny stood gamely by, Cher sang her heart out, and the duo stumbled on the dynamic that would become their TV show.
What you see with Sonny not singing and Cher singing to him is the playfulness that would later become the hallmark of Sonny and Cher.
At that time, I think I was 19, so I was like not much older than the kids that were there, and that was really kind of cool.
This was her first baby step into the water of performing, and she passed with flying colors.
In September of '65, NBC pulled Sonny and Cher off the radio to appear on the variety show Hullabaloo.
Hullabaloo was a show that showcased the top 40 acts of that week. Anybody who's anybody on the music scene wanted to be on Hullabaloo because it sold records. It meant that you mattered on the charts. So it was inevitable that Sonny and Cher should be there because they were hot. The kids loved them.
Those were the days. The Lovin' Spoonful, the Supremes, and the beyond cool host, Sammy Davis Jr.
I was in awe of Sammy. He was great, and we just thought he was very cool.
It seemed impossible, but it was true. Even in the presence of '60s pop genius, Sonny and Cher stole the show.
They have 5 big hits, records in the top 50s. And it looks like that the Bonos are going to be around for a long, long time. Of course, you probably know them much better by their first names, Sonny and Cher.
They were magical. They really were. And this was before they started doing comedy and stuff, but just as a musical act. They were fantastic.
The TV moment also gave the newlyweds a chance to develop their groovy hippie look into a style that seemed to come from outer space.
When we first started, we were dressing so bizarre. We had these 2 friends of ours that were like the first hippies I ever knew, and they just made clothes all the time. And Sonny was great because no matter what we made for him, he'd go, oh yeah, I'll wear that. But at least I'm sure of all the things you got.
The look was hard to copy, but fans tried.
She had started a whole look in the 60s, the whole bell bottoms and fur vests and the long straight hair. She was quite an influence. She's been an influence many times.
I got you to hold my hand.
I Got You, Babe became Sonny and Cher's trademark.
I got you to walk with me. I got you to talk with me.
The sound of their records was fantastic. It was Phil Spector's wall of sound meets the Byrds' take on Bob Dylan's folk rock. It was a magical sound, and of course their voices were absolutely nutty.
I got you.
In the fall of 1965, Sonny and Cher were flying high with 5 hit songs. Still, not everyone knew who they were.
Here are Sonny and Cher. Let's have a nice hand.
Sonny and Cher, which I guess that you know you've arrived when Ed Sullivan mispronounces your name.
We won't find out until we grow.
It's hard to mispronounce someone's name when their name is only one syllable, but Ed Sullivan managed to do it.
One of the fun things about Ed's show was sort of the almost cluelessness he had toward the younger performers, and yet he had them on the show.
I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
Even with Sullivan's gaffe, the exposure made Sonny and Cher household names.
If you got on his show, that meant you mattered, and it meant you were immediately embraced by masses and could sell lots of product.
To a lot of people, it was the first time they saw this very odd duo, this runty little guy in a furry jacket and this tall, gangly woman, and it was like, who is this couple?
That TV moment secured The Odd Couple as one of the world's top acts.
I got you, babe.
Coming up, Cher and Sonny on the Rocks.
They fought like cats and dogs, but there was also this weird, profound love and bond.
And Cher dives headlong into being single.
There was no more Sonny to fall back on, so Cher had more outfits, more feathers, more headdresses.
Plus, the diva rises again.
All of a sudden, there she was again with a huge hit record and looking phenomenal.
Next, on VH1 TV Moments.
Stop the music! Hey, gang, let's welcome a sensational new act. Here they are, Sonny and Cher!
After 1 year dazzling them in Vegas, Sonny and Cher hit the Holy Grail.
It's a Sonny and Cher comedy hour.
Their very own TV show.
They were doing little nightclub acts around town, and people saw them and saw that they had a sense of comedy, and she had that wonderful deadpan delivery.
I can't believe I married the whole thing.
CBS wasn't sure the kooky show would be a hit, so they kept it off their fall slate. Instead, they put the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour in as a summer replacement.
We had these 6 episodes, and people seemed to like it. They thought it was weird, but they seemed to like it.
I'm Chic Salami.
Those summer shows come on and go off, and nobody notices. All of a sudden, people were talking about the Sonny and Cher show, and it was different than anything else that had been on.
I suppose you think
The corny show somehow worked, and Sonny and Cher were offered a permanent spot that winter.
They were great together. He was goofy and funny, but at the same time, she'd get the laughs by her wisecracks.
I'm the fall guy. I know I'm getting it tonight.
No, you're not.
And she'd just give him a look, and she'd get a huge laugh.
The American audience tapped into these two people, just like they tapped into Lucy and Ricky.
Oh, what are you knitting for me? Some socks?
That's the trouble with you, Raggedy Sonny. You only think of me as a socks object.
In the beginning, I don't think either one of us had any idea of the weight of what we were doing. It just seemed like a fun idea.
27 million viewers tuned in each week for the clothes as much as the gags.
We started doing retro looks, 1940s, 1930s looks on everybody, sort of passing out because she looked so amazing. She just captured the imagination of the country.
The show was going strong, and after 2 seasons, it was television's top-rated variety series. But there was trouble at home.
That's enough.
Sonny and I were separating. The weird thing was that he and I were still having a great time doing the show.
Boy, have I got a case of the blahs.
Finally, in 1974, Cher chose to leave the show and Sonny. The marriage ended, and CBS was forced to cancel their #1 variety show.
That's very difficult to go against that kind of success when you've got like 40 million people watching. We were the American couple, you know.
Good night, everybody. God bless you.
Here we go again.
There comes a time in a girl's life when she must get her own show.
We ordered a new show called Cher. When they separated and Sonny and Cher went off the air.
I guess I always wanted to kind of do this thing, you know, dress up strange and be funny and make people laugh.
The Cher show took all the elements of the Sonny and Cher show, took away Sonny, and added even more glitz, if that seemed possible. There was no more Sonny to fall back on, so Cher had more outfits, more feathers, more headdresses.
If this show stays on the air 3 years, I'm going to have enough beads to buy back Manhattan.
Cher started strong, with guest stars Bette Midler, Flip Wilson, and Elton John. On her first big solo TV moment, the premiere of Cher on February 16, 1975.
Probably the peak apex moment was Cher doing a trio with Elton John and Bette Midler at their most flamboyant. You just felt like you were tripping into the most amazing mad tea party at a gay bathhouse or something.
Tricked out in Bob Mackie originals, Cher exposed her midriff, the selling point of the show.
Can I hear a little commotion for the dress? A little bit? Now let's hear it for the back of the dress.
We went overboard with the navel and we kept Bob Mackie, you know, and he just got more and more out there.
So this week I was very particular in selecting my little dress here, you know, it's kind of a little bit of this and a lot of this, and... It was harder once I wasn't married, because when I was married, there was some sort of safety around that, and the moment I was single, I had 3 censors on the show at all times. Of course, I haven't been fully clothed since we started the show, but...
Dangerous, single, and naked. Cher's show was an instant smash.
The show was quite successful, and then she just hated doing it by herself.
I do have one complaint, though. I have a problem.
By the second season, Cher was burnt out on censorship, network battles, and being on TV alone.
She herself was carrying the whole show, and ultimately, she didn't want to continue.
When it got to the end, I just thought, oh, this is just a nightmare.
So Cher put on her headdress and walked away.
Be good to each other, and God bless. Good night.
Just 1 month after Cher quit Cher, she called an old friend with a novel idea, the Sonny and Cher Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, together again for the first time, Sonny and Cher.
On February 1st, 1976, the duo's shticky variety show was back.
Sonny and Cher? I thought they found a cure for that.
With a bonus, fresh new 70s divorce jokes.
I certainly don't want to take anything away from you.
Well, that's not what you said in court.
Sonny and Cher were divorced. Cher was pregnant with Greg Allman's baby. However, she was already divorced from Greg Allman after only 2 weeks of marriage.
I don't think anyone's ever approached that kind of relationship with any other partner on TV.
If we stopped doing this, we could probably do a soap opera.
Sonny, we are a soap opera.
There's a bond there that cannot be broken, and they could go right back into the Sonny and Cher rap because it was just the natural way for them to be.
We were having a great time, and I actually think some of our funniest monologues were in this time period.
Don't you realize who you're standing next to?
Yes, it's Bob Hope and No Hope.
Despite huge initial ratings, viewers tuned out by the second season.
The magic was gone because it was a very, very well-publicized split, and I think the audience felt that they were being conned.
There was a lot of investment in Sonny and Cher as a couple, so I just think it was too much for people to grasp.
On August 29, 1977, the Sonny and Cher show was canceled. 10 years would pass before Sonny and Cher would share another TV moment.
Good night, everybody.
God bless you.
Coming up, Cher reveals her deepest insecurity on national TV.
I just don't feel like I'm going to make it in life if I'm not blonde.
And under media scrutiny, Cher finds new love, a young guy with a temper.
So it just got out of hand, and I lost my temper. And I mean, it was a car accident. That's it.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, today, when was Cher's peak? Vote and find out on VH1.com.
It was like from a child's fantasy when I used to do it to a grown-up child's fantasy where I had all the costumes and did all the people.
Ooh, you're never disconnected.
My favorite jet was, Bernardo. I saw my Bernardo wig.
Wanna hand them a surprise tonight.
Cher also aired an adolescent insecurity, recalling an intimate conversation with her mother.
I'm not blonde. And I just don't feel like I'm gonna make it in life if I'm not blonde.
In those days, I said, you're different. I said, you have a different kind of beauty. You may not think that you're the prettiest girl that you know, and you may not think that you're the most talented, but honey, someday you're gonna see how special you really are.
While the show was mostly a self-celebration, Cher also brought out her friends, Dolly Parton, Rod Stewart, and her 2-year-old baby, Elijah Blue. Without Sonny, it was Cher's TV moment, a perfect late 70s timepiece.
We started to see little glimpses of Cher doing more than just singing.
For me, it was just a chance to not be so kind of Sandra Dee.
She let us think, wait a minute, there's more to this woman than we thought before.
Cher, special, went on to receive 3 Emmy nominations, and it confirmed beyond a doubt that Cher could carry a show without Sonny by her side. In the 1980s, Cher recreated herself as a movie star, and she found the perfect place to debut her outrageous outfits, awards shows.
She has the nerve to be flamboyant and to wear whatever she wants.
Her favorite holiday is Halloween.
She just, excuse me, has big balls.
At the 1985 Academy Awards, Cher shed her last inhibitions. In that moment, she appeared in an alien creation with a headdress made of feathers.
They didn't nominate her that year. She was really unnerved that she didn't get a nomination for Mask, even though critics loved her in that. So she says, well, let's dress up.
She's like, oh, they don't think I dress like a serious actress? Okay. How about this headdress?
Oh, my. One blue eye and one brown eye.
She knows that everyone will be shooting their cameras towards her dreadfully ugly dress. And they did.
2 years later, she won an Academy Award dressed more tastefully. Sort of.
When she was nominated for Moonstruck, she didn't want to wear a normal dress either. I said, what if you don't win? It's all horrible to walk out in a dress like this. And she says, she didn't care.
In beads, lace, or inventive headwear, Cher has made her point. On TV or off, she is always starring in The Cher Show.
If people like me, fine. If they don't, you can just kiss my ass.
By the late 80s, Sonny seemed like feathers and bell-bottoms, just another part of Cher's past. But the past became the present in 1987, in a spontaneous reunion on Late Night with David Letterman.
My wife was the booker of Letterman at that time and was in touch with Cher. And I actually was speaking to her and said, you know, hey, I got Sonny booked the next week. And Cher said, well, why don't you have Sonny on with me? But she said, but I don't want to sing with him.
Sonny and Cher. But the routine TV moment took a sharp detour when the show's bookers decided to surprise the audience and Cher.
Do I start?
You start. There was some talk about it. Paul, do you know I Got You, Babe? And of course I know.
I think they had to be prodded to do it. I think it's the last thing on earth that Cher wanted to do.
I didn't really want to sing because I just felt I would become too emotional.
You could tell watching it that she was a little apprehensive about doing it.
Babe, I got you, babe.
But she got up and she sang, I Got You, Babe, and it was wonderful. I cried.
People were sobbing. I saw people sobbing in the audience, and it just, for me, it was just too painful.
I got you to walk with me.
We wanted to see what would happen. It was beautiful to watch them do that song as if they had been doing it every day for the last 30 years.
I got you to hold me tight.
A generation of TV viewers had a flashback and felt as if they'd never cut their hair or given up bell-bottoms themselves.
Man, it was fantastic.
I got you, babe.
Cher cleared another showbiz hurdle in 1987. She played Saturday Night Live, and she did the show her way.
It was great because I'd wanted to host it for such a long time, but I wasn't cool enough. So after a while of knowing that I wasn't cool enough, then I thought, well, screw you guys, I'm never going to host this show. But I wanted to promote the record, so I did the singing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cher.
Host Candace Bergen introduced Cher. Cher also made diva demands, bringing in the world's most dangerous band, fronted by Paul Schaefer. And edging out the SNL house band.
I think she wanted to play with the people she wanted to play with. That would be any musician's right.
She had no band of her own at that time. And she paid me really a very nice compliment and asked me if I would go on Saturday Night Live with her and bring my band.
With the performance on her terms, Cher did what she does best, put on a killer show.
There's no hullabaloo anymore, so Saturday Night Live has almost taken the place of that for musical guests. It's a very important slot for a musical artist of any stature to get. And she brought, you know, a lot of her usual class to it.
Coming up, Cher rocks the boat in a body thong.
The sailors were having a great time, and so was I.
And she goes voice to voice with Tina Turner.
Cher is absolutely a diva and was right up there with Tina, kicking ass really on that Divas Live.
Plus, the death of Sonny Bono and Cher's choked up farewell.
She couldn't control her emotions. She said, I could not control my face. My face was doing things on its own.
Coming up next on VH1 TV Moments, Cher. '87 was a big Cher year. After getting raves for 3 movie performances and an Oscar for Moonstruck, Cher had her directorial debut in 1987, the video for I Found Someone.
Now, baby, I found someone.
Cher was 41. Her body was great. Her skirt was short as hell.
I think she looks amazing in that video. It's very flash dance mixed with gothic influences, and she's hot. You don't think this is a woman who's in her middle ages.
I Found Someone was the first single off Cher's self-titled rock comeback album.
I hadn't sung in 5 or 6 years. And I actually didn't even want to sing again. Didn't think that, you know, there was any place for me in the record world.
But you left me with open eyes.
Cher's former consort, David Geffen, had talked her into recording again. But then refused to finance the video when Cher insisted on casting her boyfriend, 23-year-old Rob Camilletti. Geffen argued that fans would frown on the May-December relationship.
Cher was getting so much unrealistic and unwanted grief about her relationship with Rob Camilletti. Let's face it, if it was a man in love with a 23-year-old girl and he was in his 40s, nobody would blink an eye, nobody would say a word.
Cher had to get money from another source.
So I went to the Bally people that I'd been doing this commercial for and just said, I need to do this. I'll let you use it as a commercial. I need a yes or no tonight. And they said yes, as luck would have it.
Hey, if you don't like what you see, change it.
Yes, there was the cheese factor. But Cher's video, along with the Bally workout commercial and the buzz about her love life, put Cher back on center stage and helped land her at number 10 on the Billboard charts. The press have hounded Cher since her early days.
You guys are nosy bastards, aren't you?
And she's always played hot and cold with them. But when Cher held a press conference on July 28, 1988, there was no love in the room.
And this is something that I have never really experienced to this degree, ever.
For months, random gossip about Cher and her boyfriend Robert Camilletti had dominated the tabloids. But the journos wanted a hotter story.
Someone had started this rumor that Robert and I were getting married.
The paparazzi staked out Cher's house.
Our life was just a misery, and I never knew if someone was a paparazzi or a killer. And these two guys were particularly obnoxious, as only the paparazzi can be.
I lost my temper and they're out in the street and I'm trying to make a turn up the driveway and the brakes locked up and I slid into the guy's car. That's it. It was an accident. And I mean, it was a car accident. That's it.
Cher bailed Robert out of jail. He was convicted of 2 counts of vandalism. And, of course, the story made headlines.
Her and her lawyer were just like, all right, what are we going to do? Like, they were like game planning. You know, let's make a statement before the press does.
I never had any intention of ever hurting anyone at any time.
Cher stood by her man, haranguing the paparazzi for being so aggressive.
People have got to realize, too, that I do have a family, and I, like other mothers and like other people, you know, I'm not really asking for more than my rights, but I certainly am asking for my rights.
She flared back at the media. She was furious.
Should I move out of the United States? Should I move to another state? I mean, where is it that I can have the laws go in my favor, just so I can live like anybody else?
The case strained the relationship between Cher and Robert, and they broke up.
It caused a break in our relationship that we were just never able to recover from.
In July 1989, Cher had no breakups, no workout books, no personal problems. All she had was a hit and a body thong.
If I could turn back time.
She came to me and she wanted a little outfit made. She wanted certain things to show. She wanted it to be kind of wild and fun and sexy.
She's wearing these like fishnets held up by garters and there's lots of leg exposed, combining her rock and roll, heavy metal chick look with the gothic stripper idea, and it's quintessential Cher.
It was kind of naked. It was real naked. And I said, are you sure?
The anti-outfit became the centerpiece of the maritime video. Cher paraded in front of 150 sailors on the USS Missouri.
I'm a little embarrassed, but not completely embarrassed.
Well, it's just, you know, you have 19-year-old sailors screaming and yelling, and, you know, it's a little unnerving. And you feel kind of naked.
The sailors were having a great time, and so was I.
It proved that Cher was willing to show a little more of herself than people expected, particularly her rear end.
It was quite revolting, actually. I used to deny that I had anything to do with it.
The designer wasn't the only one who hemmed and hawed about the outfit. MTV also played it safe, airing the video in the late hours.
The video was slated to air only after 9 o'clock because supposedly that's when people could most deal with Cher at her most bare.
Of course, the adults-only airtime only boosted the video's popularity. Turn Back Time became Cher's biggest hit of the 80s and a ship-shape TV moment.
It totally revitalized her career. It proved that she still was a vital pop singer who could keep up with the new trends in music. She did turn back time.
If you look at the videos today, I mean, people are wearing 2 Band-Aids and a cork, for God's sake. I just was first.
We need a chick that's got tattoos on her butt.
Yeah. We need one of those chicks.
We need a chick that used to be married to some dork, and so now, like, she's all wild and stuff.
I get myself into everything by saying, oh, that sounds like it would be fun.
Once upon a time, Beavis met Butthead and they both met Cher. It was a cartoon 3-way in 1993.
Cher was always a cartoon character anyway, so she made perfect sense in this context.
They say our love won't fade around.
I mean, it's a psychedelic explosion, and it just makes perfect sense that Cher appears to them in their fantasy.
With Beavis and Butthead's creator, Mike Judge, Cher remade her signature duet into a trio.
Butthead, I got you.
It was kind of fun, and I remember Mike Judge, he was so funny and so nice, and we got along just unbelievably well.
I got you, babe.
Looking to refresh her image, Cher reached out to the kids of MTV.
I got flowers in the spring. She has drawn young people. She's maintained an audience of older people, and it just somehow seems to grow. And I think that's because there is something maybe timeless about her.
The remake kind of went nowhere. But the video reintroduced Cher's sense of humor. And she survived being hazed by the cackling cartoons.
The coolest thing in the world was to have the stamp of approval from Beavis and Butthead. It's the best thing you can do. Great career boost.
I didn't have any idea what was going to be. I mean, you never do. So if it's a fun experience, you just have to chalk it up and go, okay, that was great. Now, whatever happens, happens.
So, like, I heard you're like, you know, into young dudes.
Yeah, well, you feeling lucky, butthead?
Coming up, Cher hits a high note for patriotism.
She did a tremendous job. She had people holding up a huge American flag. There were fireworks going off.
And the hardest moment of Cher's life.
I've never seen her in my life that upset about anything.
What is Cher's greatest TV moment? Go to VH1.com and vote. Cher's most unexpected TV moment came on January 9th, 1998, at Sonny Bono's funeral. He had died in a skiing accident at age 61.
It was just a nightmare.
I think that the impact of his death to her really did slam her.
I've never seen her in my life that upset about anything.
Sonny's wife, Mary, had survived him, but didn't give the eulogy. Instead, she asked her husband's ex-wife, Cher.
I was just trying to stay coherent. I mean, that was my main job, and I remember saying to Chas, as I started to get up, I started to cry, and I said, Chas, this is not a very good start.
This is probably the most important thing I've ever done in my life.
She gave a beautiful speech, but she brought humor to her speech.
Don't pay any attention, this is probably going to happen from time to time. And I also know that he is someplace loving this.
She couldn't control her emotions. She said, I could not control my face. My face was doing things on its own.
Some people thought that Son wasn't to be taken seriously because he allowed himself to be the butt of the jokes on the Sonny and Cher show. What people don't realize is that he created Sonny and Cher.
Cher's sincere tribute to her ex-husband revealed a whole new side of her.
She's so wonderful, tender, vulnerable. The public doesn't know that. They got to see it at Sonny's funeral.
When I was young, there was this section in the Reader's Digest, and it was called The Most Unforgettable Character I've Ever Met. And for me, that person is Sonny Bono. And no matter how long I live or who I meet in my life, that person will always be Son for me. Thank you.
At the end of the millennium, it looked like Cher was finished, a camp icon from days of old. No life after love.
No matter how hard I try.
But Cher had at least one more TV moment up her sleeve.
She told me that she had talked to David Geffen about her career, and Geffen had laughed and said, you really do have 9 lives. I asked her, where do you think you are right now? And she said, well, I think I'm on 7 right now.
Cher is a survivor, and she proved that with her album. I mean, to put her right back on top.
The video premiere of Believe in October 1998 made TV viewers do a double take. With Cher on a club goddess pedestal and sexy teens seeking love in a rave scene, the video played up the song's techno strengths and Cher's relevance to under 30 fans.
You get millions of songs and you listen to them and you pick out the ones that hit you. Believe is a song that comes, it's like I Got You, Babe. If you're lucky to have one of them in your lifetime, it's great. If you have a couple, it's fabulous.
Believe went to #1 in 23 countries, meaning Cher broke the record for longest dry spell between #1s. Her last Billboard #1 was in 1974, Dark Lady.
She taught Madonna that you have to keep evolving in order to stay relevant. And she was really the first person to do that, Cher.
I don't need you anymore.
I mean, their whole generations, they probably had never seen her do anything. And then all of a sudden, there she was again with a huge hit record and looking phenomenal. And they didn't know she was 100 or if she was 19.
The Believe TV moment raised a pressing philosophical question. Is Cher immortal?
As they say about nuclear war and cockroaches, Cher will remain. You know, she will always be with us. There's always some level of Cher-ness going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cher.
Following the success of Believe, Cher scored the Nobel Prize of Divahood. The national anthem at Super Bowl 33 on January 31st, 1999, in front of 800 million viewers.
I couldn't eat right, for 2 days before it, and I couldn't sleep, and it was just a mess.
Anybody doing the Super Bowl would just have a couple extra layers of nervousness. I think it's just that feeling that you're part of this American national holiday.
It was something that I always wanted to do because I learned about football from Sonny, and so I loved football.
She did a tremendous job. She had people holding up a huge American flag. There were fireworks going off. There were two women in the corner. They were like, not just signing, it was soul signing. There were shots of like the big hunky jocks sobbing from her rendition. She made quarterbacks sob.
Like many artists, Cher got help singing the difficult song. It was reported that her voice was aided by a pre-recorded track.
I guess it's the safety net factor of it and the not wanting to embarrass yourself by really hitting a bum note or, God forbid, forgetting the words.
Cher's performance was still a coup, and proof through the night that Cher was still there.
I always thought it would be a great thing to do, but never, somehow I just never thought that I would do it.
Cher usually seems like the picture of confidence. But when it came to a duet with Tina Turner on Divas Live 99, with 8 divas, Elton John, and 9.5 million viewers, even Cher was nervous.
I hadn't worked in years, and then to have to sing with Tina, I mean, it was nerve-wracking.
If you go down to the river, bet you're gonna find some people who live.
Cher is absolutely a diva and was right up there with Tina, equaling her, kicking ass really on that Divas Live.
Tina did the Cher show a couple of different times, and so, we've known each other for a long time, but, there are a million other people that I would feel a lot more confident being on the same stage with.
After a commercial break, Cher came back. This time solo, but once again her voice got a little help from a pre-recorded track. At 52, Cher gave a grade A TV moment. But some critics had another view.
I think when a show is called Divas Live, you really want to hear some live performing, and I'm not the only one who felt let down that she lip-synced that song, because that's the song we wanted to hear her do. But the rest of her performance was live, and she knocked us out. She really delivered.
When you're standing on the edge of nowhere,
Against the odds, she did it again.
one way up.
The blowout Believe had seemed like Cher's grand finale. But in February 2002, she managed to score one more time with her video, Song for the Lonely.
It's like a fusion of rock and roll with a dance beat, so for me that's like heaven.
Recorded in the summer of 2001, the mournful song had new significance after the terrorist attacks that fall.
After September 11th, it just took on a different meaning completely.
So ready to find you.
Cher dedicated the song to the people of New York City.
I just thought it was a perfect marriage of the spirits. Even though it's a very sad song, you come away with it feeling really empowered. I don't know, it just seemed right.
After 5 decades making music, Cher knows something about resilience. How else to say it? Long live Cher.
We may just be in the midpoint of our Cherdom. I mean, at year 2002, maybe there's another couple of decades to come. Who knows what she'll look like in 20 years.
Others have had the voice, the looks, the clothes, the jokes. But Cher has them all. You get full-service TV showmanship in Cher's incomparable TV moments.
VH1's Top 20 Countdown is next. Do yourself a favor and watch. You don't want to be caught in the socially awkward situation of not knowing all 20.